Only one kid in history had ever attempted what Benny was about to. And he got eaten. So we were worried. Real worried. Even when Benny brought out the secret weapon. Shoes guaranteed to make a kid run faster and jump higher. PF Flyers.
We can't let him do this, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is the Slate Lace Podcast. Happy Hump Day. We're happy you're here. We're happy to have you. Blair, how are we doing?
We're good. Yeah, we're
Good. No complaints, no concerns.
No.
Well, today we got a special episode. We got a film episode. We watched Master. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good stuff out there. I did see a dud recently that we're probably going to have to talk about next episode.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm getting back on this movie grind. But this one I wanted to talk about because I saw it on a whim. Well, I knew it was coming out, and I saw it, and I wanted to check it out. And then after I saw it, I definitely wanted to kind of discuss it. So there will be a little bit of spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen it, shut this off, go see it, and then come back. Mm-hmm. Come back to us.
We'll see you in a week or two.
And we'll have a little discussion, though, because I kind of want to know your guys' thoughts on this one, because it's a little tricky.
Okay.
A little complex. Mm-hmm. But without further ado, let's get into it. Again, It's Master. The synopsis is... Two African-American women begin to share disturbing experiences at a predominantly white college in New England. You don't get a lot.
Simple.
I mean, it is, and that's kind of what it is. But, yeah, you know, the plot, I mean, I feel like that pulls you in, too. It makes me interested to see, like, what's happening next. Okay. It is starring Regina Hall, Zoe Renee, Julia Nightingale, Talia Ryder. Again, those last three are definitely kind of fresh faces. Mm-hmm. I know Zoe Renee, which she plays Jasmine, the young black student. She was in something else I seen, but I'm not sure what. So I think she's a little bit of an up-and-comer. But the rest of them, outside of Regina Hall, I didn't really recognize. You? Did you know any of the actors?
No, I didn't recognize anybody.
Yeah.
A couple look familiar, but you know, couldn't
couldn't
pinpoint it, you know.
Yeah, and this was a Sundance film, so it just got picked up by Amazon. So that's a lot of it too. So you know, Sundance is like a small independent kind of festival. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So speaking of independent small film, it's written and directed by Miriam Diallo. This is her first film, so.
Oh. Dang, even better.
She's done some shorts. She's done some shorts. I'll give you that. Mm-hmm. But as far as like a wide release on a streaming service, this is her first one. So shout out to her. Mm-hmm. She looks kind of young too, from just looking at her. So shout out, big shouts out to Miriam Diallo.
Making movies.
Yeah, you know, get that grind. Mm-hmm. So yeah, she wrote and directed it. Initial thoughts. Let's get into it. Blair, I know you probably didn't have much, right?
No, I hadn't. Mom told me to watch it before you told me to watch it.
Oh, okay.
She said that she thought it would be something that was up my alley, something that I would find interesting. She just it was just basically explaining a little bit of, you know, what was going on and things that were happening within the film, and how, you know, you might get a question or two, not get some answers.
Yep.
You might be sort of like confused. You know, she kind of just gave me things like up that realm and was just basically saying, you know, that just screams your name. Being confused at the end of the film and, you know, all that other stuff. So I just laughed and was just kind of like, all right, well, I'll let you know what I think. But again, from what she was basically explaining to me, it sounded like it was going to be an interesting film. Yeah.
I was definitely excited about this one. Again, I think I saw the preview either on social media or through Amazon Prime. Another movie I was watching, they'll show the previews. So I think I saw it either through Amazon Prime or on social media. I'm not sure which. But I was definitely excited. My mind automatically went to Get Out, Jordan Peele style right away. Because in the trailer, like, that's all it's hinting at. So I was definitely excited to see it. Because, you know, I was a big fan of Get Out, Us, and these ones that have, like, kind of social commentary behind it. I'm into it.
It's crazy to see his direct impact,
like coming out quick,
essentially
too.
immediately,
Yeah.
right? Effective immediately.
Because Get Out was barely
2017 or something similar. So somewhere in those years, right?
But I
he
think
puts out a film, changes the game, and almost instantly people are writing, and they're writing very similar, directing very similar, and films are coming out and they're looking very similar to his. So I mean, he's definitely influenced right away.
I think a lot of people kind of had these ideas in their head but didn't know how to express it and like put it on paper and film, and Jordan Peele kind of showed us how to do that. Because I know I was like, dang, I'm a horror fan, so I'm like, they want to do a horror and touch on this and that, and he kind of just took the words right out of our mouths and put it on screen. So shout out to Jordan Peele. He's definitely heavily influenced on this movie. And then he's got another banger, it looks like, coming out. So we'll have to do a trailer reaction. Even though we've kind of seen it, we'll have to, they put out another trailer anyway. They usually do like a second one. So we'll have to see that.
You and her are probably going to go see it already. Y'all already got
Of course I'm going. Of course. That's the one you got to hit theaters. You got to show out for JP.
But that's dope that, you guys are doing that, because I feel there's not many directors that are out right now that when they put out a movie, you're flocking to go there. It's, back in the day, that was kind of things that you would do, and then we're in sort of present time, and there's not many directors that I feel like that is something that we're doing. So it's cool to kind of see that coming back.
Yeah, he's at the forefront for me. So, and
he's
maybe
got everyone's attention for sure.
Yeah, and maybe Miriam Diallo will be at the next one. I don't know. She got a hitter on her hand, but we'll get into some of the pros and cons. But it's a hitter. But look, there's some things in there. There's some things. Yeah, we'll get into it. There's some things that could have been cleaned up. But anyway, that's all for the initial thoughts. I wanted to see it. I thought it was going to be good. I definitely thought there was going to be more to it. A little more fine-tuned, I would say. But I was excited. Well, let's start off with the negatives. Let's switch it up here. Let's get into some of the cons right now. Blair, cons? I kind of feel like I know what you're going to say. I know you ain't going to get on the runtime because it wasn't that long.
No, the runtime
it was actually pretty short, I feel like.
The runtime was not long at all. To be real,
138, yeah, it was quick. It was a little quick, in and out of there.
To be real with you, though, it just wasn't that interesting to me.
Okay. Wasn't that interesting?
Yeah,
okay.
I was wanting to enjoy this film from the way Mom was sort of explaining it. It felt like something that I would like, but
fell short.
I think it just, even though there was a plot, it didn't feel like there was a plot.
Wait till you get into this next one.
Yeah,
but no, go ahead.
But yeah, you were just I don't know, I was just kind of watching, and you could pick up on the racism, and you could see that it was kind of about that, but at the same time it was just like, is there anything that's really gonna happen? Are we what are we leading up to? What's the big showdown? What's gonna go down? I know that they hinted at, at 3:33, someone, whoever's living in this room is gonna die, and like, okay, that's your traditional horror, So now we're basically, okay, how is it gonna happen? How are we gonna get there? And I don't know. And just like on that journey to getting there, it was just, underwhelming a little bit for me.
Yeah.
But, it was still, there was a lot of cool things that did happen. So I do have positive things to say about it. But just for the overall, my con is just that I think that my expectation was a little bit too high. And that was just because, I guess it is something that I would traditionally like. And then I just didn't end up really liking it like I had hoped.
Yeah, for me... I agree with Blair on some of the things. For me, it was too coagulated. Like, it was too much going on. I want to be able to separate fact from fiction. And I understand being ambiguous, but this was like all ambiguous. Like, what happened?
It was like, was there any point that there was a reality where,
like literally at the end,
on?
It wasn't even about questions, right? Like, you can sit here and debate an ending with your friends, like a Shutter Island. We can sit here. Is that the one with the spinning? Am I thinking of the right one? Inception.
Oh, okay. I was like, Shutter Island was when
Inception. The dream inside the dream. The dream.
Yes,
The dreams.
yes.
The dreams.
Yes. But you always knew
That's
that
the one where you can
inside
sit.
you win, and another one you knew
Exactly.
you were in
And
a dream,
then you could sit and debate that ending.
Yeah.
What if we go this route? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a complex movie, but you can get it.
Yeah.
This one was like complex, and I was like, well, what?
Yeah.
We had all the build up, like Blair was saying, and it just fell short. So to me, they didn't do a good job of, there was maybe too much symbolism, but then they didn't really clean it up.
Yeah. So I think about it like this. You get a pot, you put a bunch of water in it, fill it up all the way to the top, right? And then you put it on the stove, you turn it on, and you let it sit there, right? At a certain point in time, that water should begin to overflow and bubble over, right? And maybe potentially put the fire out, make it expand, whatever, right? But something is going to happen. My thing is we're sitting here watching this film, right? And we're supposed to be having this build up, and it's supposed to lead to something. And it's supposed to be something spilling over at the end. And there was nothing that ever really spilled over at the end. And so that was kind of like the disappointing part. In horror, there is something, right?
Yeah.
You must face something when you make it to the end.
On that note,
What?
I felt like too much happened, but it wasn't.
But
you know what I'm
there
saying?
was
Like, too much.
But there
but
was
it's
no
like,
grand
why?
exit. There
Right.
was no finale, and that's
It's
my
like
problem.
it was a lot going on, but not a lot of the necessary things. Like, I wrote down, like, there was a lot of red herrings, like a lot of distractions. The witch, that wasn't even important. The 333, that's not important to the central idea of the film.
No,
then why focus on it for 8 hours?
Yeah.
The girl that even lived in there before, the first black student that ended up
Right.
committing suicide.
Right.
That wasn't necessarily important. I mean,
Right.
yes, Jasmine did end up sharing the same fate, but that
Right.
wasn't essentially important to the movie. So why are we
Right.
focused on things so heavily? Like, touch on them, but don't make that gonna be the central theme. And I'm like really trying to, what's the witch? The witch, what's she gonna do? When's she gonna
Yeah.
pop up? And it has nothing to do with the ending or whatever the movie's about.
Yeah,
So just too many red herrings, too many distractions.
because of how they were introducing the film. I didn't think it was going to be about racism until it was essentially about racism towards the end, right? Because like there were play on like words and like a little bit of things happening where you were like, okay, yeah,
Like
the
little
the
microaggressions.
undertone is racism.
Yeah.
But you didn't realize that racism was the
gonna be the
actual
whole-
forefront
yeah.
pushing the plot forward. And
Yeah.
so then that is why I was like,
Yeah, because we think about the witch.
Right.
We thinking about.
I'm thinking about the witch,
Yeah,
right.
So I'm
I'm
like,
thinking
that's
about
gonna
how
be
it's-
because we're still
Exactly.
thinking horror. I'm like,
Exactly.
oh, this witch finna pop up.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
she didn't. We
Yep.
talking about racism. Oh,
my
okay.
gosh, this whole way.
You know what I'm saying?
Like I felt
there was racist throughout the movie. I get it. From
Yeah.
the jump start, like the little
Yeah.
black girl got it. But I get what Blair's saying. Like, we didn't know that was the movie. You
Right.
know?
I genuinely because I usually can figure film out, right? Like
Yeah.
I usually know.
I feel like I can, but sometimes I gotta read because I'm like, I'm overthinking it, I guess.
Well, for the most part, I don't have to go research, right? Like I pretty much know what went down. I know what the intent was and all of that, right? But I felt so stupid towards the end.
This
when-
was hard. No, this was
when,
hard. It's not even nothing to be stupid about.
She was like talking about like it just like connected where how she wrote the paper and she got the F and then she realized that she was essentially like living that life of what she wrote the paper about and it was all about racism and I'm just sitting here like, wait, what? This whole movie is about racism.
Yeah. No, it was a doozy.
Wow, so it has nothing to do with the witch. It has nothing to do. I'm sitting here like I'm done.
It was a doozy. It was a
Right.
doozy.
I'm like, I thought that was just the undertone. Like it wasn't really things we were focusing on, and and then just
They threw us for a loop, and then it was just too clouded. It was way too much going on. But I think we're on the same page about that because that's the only real con. Like the rest of it, we'll get into it in a
that's
second.
a whole lot of con.
But
though.
it is because that's the majority of the movie. Because for the first hour. You had us thinking something else was about to crack off. Because then there was figures haunting her, and then we find out that she's just tripping.
Right.
Like she's just, cracking mentally.
Right.
So then are those things really happening?
I don't know.
Is there really a woman in the hood? Because then the woman in the hood could have been the white lady that Gail ended up Regina Hall's character ended up meeting.
Yeah.
That could have been her because she was always trying to get her attention. Remember when she called her on the phone?
Yeah.
She was trying to get her attention since the beginning of the movie.
So they're saying that the true villain of this whole film is the school.
Yeah, as a whole. in its racist institution. Yeah. So was she seeing things because she was hallucinating, because she was having such a hard time at this racist school, because there were microaggressions throughout the movie. They were dogging her because she was the only black student. They were making fun of her subtly. All that kind of stuff was there. So did she start to go crazy and see things, or are those things really there? Like, because I couldn't believe that they carved leave and hung, through the noose in there. Like, the students probably did that. But she literally did see someone in a hood following her. Like, was that just the Amish people on campus?
I don't know. And then the other part is that I also felt like the two main characters were competing for attention. So it was kind of hard to be like, wait,
which ones? Regina Hall?
Right.
And then Zoe?
Yeah.
The Jasmine played by.
So I'm kind of like, who are we focusing on? So then when she, like, spoiler alert, obviously dies, I'm like, wait. So who are we really caring about right now? Who is it that we're, who is supposed to be?
That part I was more okay with, but I get what you're saying as well.
No, I'm fine that she died, but I'm
No. Like, as far as the characters, I'm fine. I was fine with that kind of, two kind of leads. But I get what you're saying as well. It's like, but again, we go so hard.
Even though there's two kind of leads, it's still focused on someone in specific.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was a lot. It was just a little bit too convoluted, and I think that there just needed to be some clarity. She tried to get too deep, and then it just kind of backfired a little bit. So I think
too deep, and then she sank. But the thing is that for me is like, I only saw it one time, so maybe 2, 3, 4 times I go through it. It'd feel a little bit different, but
I don't even think that this kind of movie, because there's still no plot.
Like,
no, there's a plot, but you know what I'm saying? There's still no point to that.
Yeah,
there was no point to the witch.
Yeah, it's tough.
Just to maybe show her tripping out, but there was no point.
Yeah.
Because if we want to focus on the racist institution, then just leave the noose thing. Leave the words "leave" being carved out on her door. Leave those kind of things.
Right.
But, and then how the little racist librarian had to check her bag. Leave that. Because that makes sense. But now you're throwing in some witch that was haunting the white people anyway. Like, what does this got to do with it, So maybe even the story of the first black student, leave that in there.
Yeah.
But don't throw us on this loop,
Yeah, and I mean, the more I watched, or the more that I think about it now, there are a lot of racist moments, obviously, as it should be. But
people would have got. I would have been out.
Yeah, I'm just the whole film, I'm searching for something that I shouldn't be searching for.
Yep.
And so
we really went down this rabbit hole for no reason.
I believe as a artist, you're not supposed to deliberately mislead your audience.
Yeah.
I think that, you can be clever, but I don't think you're supposed to deliberately send them on a path and then
not even really be like, no, you just over there.
And then have them miss the message. Yeah. I think that ends up being a problem, me personally.
Yeah. But for the positives, I like horror. I like the genre of this. We'll get into it at the end. Okay. But I do like this horror kind of genre with social commentary, like racial undertones. Like, I like this kind of thing. I'm gonna get more into this at the end. I liked the way it was written. Obviously we just slammed like kind of the ending there, but I do like the overall idea. Like, I like where her head was. Well, I'll say that. I like where she was going. Okay. I like the idea. And that's pretty much it for me. I was entertained. I was more, like you said, you kind of weren't interested. I was interested. I was locked in because I kept thinking something was going to happen. Maybe that, is why. But I was definitely locked in. I was entertained. And yeah, I just kind of like where she was going with this film. I like these horror films that aren't necessarily gore, aren't necessarily jumpy, but are hitting you with something deeper. Has some kind of social commentary or activism behind it. I kind of like, this genre and this new thing inspired by, like we were saying, Jordan Peele.
I think there was some, some positives. I think there was like a lot of neat imagery. Just
with the flashbacks and all that.
Just the way they kind of were like painting the picture with the, with the lens and creating the creepy feel, creating like It did feel like it was dated in a way where like it could be in a specific time period, but it was
I did ask that.
Day.
I randomly asked. I said, "Are we in the today times?" Like when I was watching it, because it could go both ways, though.
Well, I mean, when you heard the Mo Bamba, you knew for sure it was today.
But that was literally like what, the middle?
Yeah, middle-ish.
When they go to that party, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But not like from the way they dress, you was kind of like,
you couldn't really tell
the housing.
But the to lead forward with how you said they threw that party, that's one of the things that I did like a lot, right? Because it makes me think about real life. It makes me think about so when that whole party happened, right? You could see that she was having a good time, but you could also see that she was the only black person, so there was like a lot of eyes on her. Yeah, and a lot of things.
Nothing like that scenario.
Nothing like that scenario. But one of a few things
talk
that they
about
did
fun
there that I do want to address. One of the ones is that the director deliberately made her like essentially the shortest person in the room. So anyone that was taller was around her. And when the Sheck West, Mo Bamba song came on, right? And they're like focusing on each person that's in the room, you could see that they were significantly taller than her, and they were like kind of closing in on her, and it was clearly making her uncomfortable. And you knew she was uncomfortable because if you know the song and you know some of the words that are being said, right, you're like, okay, this is where, obviously there is the fine line, right? They're basically saying so the N-word should only be used by black people, right? But this type of music, hip hop, that is used has taken over society to where it's in the forefront as far as popular music. It's more popular than rock and roll, right? So you got all types of people listening to this song. So then it's like, are we giving people a pass to be able to say this word because of how big it is, right? Can you really be upset when you hear it? And then it's like, that there's like the young group that just gets so excited to use that word in that song. And so it's like kind of cool to see it like playing out, and you're just like, yep. I mean, I'm not offended by it, right? Like, because I know the reality of it. If we use it, then we can't be mad at anyone else that uses it. If we don't use it and people use it, then okay, there's something that we can be upset about. But it's cool to kind of see it playing out, and it's like, she's clearly like, upset by this. And this is like one of her best scenes in the whole film.
It was well shot.
It
was cool.
So definitely bravo to that. The lighting was dope. Really created the mood. Really set the atmosphere. So that was definitely one of my big positives, and I was glad that you actually brought it up because that was one of the first things I was actually going to touch on.
Yeah, it did have like an eerie feel throughout. From like even the housing, like this was definitely in the South, but they did say New England, so that makes sense. But yeah, even that crusty old house they had her moving into wouldn't have been me. Wouldn't have been me. Put me up at a hotel, permanent resident, because I couldn't be up in there. But yeah, I like that, the overarching theme to the symbolism behind Regina Hall being the master, but she ended up just being the maid, like she said at the end there, sent to basically clean up their mess, clean up their racism and all that kind of stuff. She was doing the lowly duties. Oh, go help the black student. Oh, you know what I'm saying? They weren't going to give her any real power. They weren't going to allow her to be a master.
There just wasn't enough happening, though, for it to seem like she was cleaning something up, though.
Yeah, but no, I get what she was saying at the end. You didn't want anything to change. There we go. Yeah. They didn't expect for anything to change, so she wasn't really going to come over there and have no power. She was going to be that maid, like she saw in her house. Remember the little flashback? Yeah, the little scene of the maid. That stuff was kind of cool. I did like that idea. So I did like the theme, the symbolism of those things, and then kind of this new genre. Like I like that. Blair, any other positives?
I do like also in the beginning when she was trying to basically be like, figure me out, and then everyone just gave every little racist thing that they could have thought of. No,
I didn't like that. That wasn't funny. I would have slapped somebody or walked out.
I know what you're saying, but that's what makes it so good is what it makes it reality.
Yeah.
People
will really be bold like that.
Like, people will just say some ridiculous thing.
I'd have got a new room for me.
But that was what made it solid because
right on down to the RA
and got a new spot. Huh? Well, then I guess you definitely wouldn't have died then because you would have been in the new room.
Exactly, I would have been in the little haunted room.
It was just cool to see because we've all been there. And so since we've all been there, that was instantly a relatable moment where you're just like,
if you're black, you've been there. And whether it was so in your face like that moment or like a microaggression, it's happened. It's like when I used to work at a restaurant, people would come up to me, like Obama, huh? Like, okay, great, thank you for sharing that. Like, do you play basketball? Like, what if I didn't? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's like, it's like all those little things, or trying to use slang like sister. Like, don't say that. It's weird.
I mean,
It just happens.
People are out there with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten it as bad as someone thought I looked just like Tiger Woods. So it's just like,
are we Asian? No. So
well, it's more than it's clearly off based. Right?
It's not even
like,
that, but then you don't even have no root. Like,
right.
you don't even know about Tiger enough. So why don't you shut up? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's even that. Like, how dumb are you? But again, these are just things you get. And if you aren't black, or you're not, Middle Eastern or something like that, Arabic, if you don't have your own kind of background where you look a certain way or act a certain way, you're not really going to understand. Like, you really got to walk a mile in, people of color shoes to really get this.
Yeah, but it was just...
but I like that. But on this note, on this discussion, it leads perfectly into it. I was watching Amanda Seales' story. Shout out to Amanda Seales. If you don't watch Insecure, stand-up comedian, very funny. She was saying that she's sick and tired of this black trauma horror genre. Okay. So she's kind of tired of the Get Outs touching on,
There wasn't even that many movies in this genre, though.
Get Out, Us. Well, Us couldn't really be it, right? Us wasn't necessarily about black and white. Us was more like, I don't know, we'll get into that later. But this one, isn't there another one? Maybe even just like the 12 Years a Slave, kind of things like that. But she's just tired of like this, like kind of putting black trauma on film and celebrating it. Okay. Now, I kind of agree with her. Like, I like this way of going about it, so I'm not mad at this movie or Get Out. But the slave movies we are done with. We talk about like Snoop said. I always quote like, "Have black people done nothing else but be slaves and die?" Like, I get kind of what she's saying. Like, as black people, that didn't make us feel good. Like, Dad at the end of the movie was like, "This wasn't good." Like, no, because it's like, okay, thank you. She killed herself. Like, there was no like, woo, black moment. It wasn't pride. It's our house coach, but it's just like, I get what she's saying in a sense. Like, we're just getting re-traumatized by watching these things. So, it's not so in your face like Roots or 12 Years a Slave, but it is kind of there, just reminding you you're always going to be a black person in America. So I get it. But I think if you go about it in a clever way, it opens up a discussion. 80% of the population love to Get Out. Yeah. And I think it's good for people to discuss that and understand. But
one of the reasons is because there's a clear hero. He has to go through this clear journey where he's like fighting essentially like a family that is trying to oppress him in a way, right? It's still going through like a suspense. It's still following a format, even though it's brand new, essentially, right? So at the end of the day, we still cheering this man on. Yeah. And he makes it through. He doesn't actually die. So yeah, people love it.
Are you tired of the genre? Do you think that we need to just focus on making straight out horror, straight up comedy? Should we stop putting these racial undertones in? Should we stop having social commentary?
So. I think that you just have to execute better. I think that you just have to still be able to grab the viewers. We just not necessarily.
So you don't feel like re-traumatized by it or anything like that? Like,
we're not executing. It's not being re-traumatized.
But in general, if it was executed, that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, no, because I bet you she wouldn't be tired. I bet you she likes Get Out.
She liked Get Out, but she's saying I'm tired of that genre even so.
If someone made another one and it was just as good as Get Out, she would exclude this film.
Because I think she's talking about the whole thing, like, as a whole. Like, not about whether
people are tired of superhero films, and then when an amazing one comes out, but when an amazing one comes out, you're not tired of it.
Joker, and it wasn't even superhero. You see what I'm saying?
But I know what you're saying, but you see what I'm saying, right? It's like, it's not necessarily what's being like. Okay,
I get what you're saying. So as long as the film is good,
good, then it's okay. Excluding, obviously, like.
So you're not.
But I'm gonna be very specific right now. But when you watch like Roots or something like that, right? That is so far. Like, those are very good films, but then it's so difficult to watch because of how real it is, right? So that's not a movie that you're gonna watch. But if you can stylize something and make something very interesting, and you can kind of cling to somebody from beginning to end and root them on and like defeat evil, people are traditionally gonna like it.
Yeah, see, I had the opposite reaction. Like, I saw 12 Years a Slave and I was like, this was a horrible film. and it won.
Yeah,
an
it's
Oscar.
not. But
And it won
I
an
get
Oscar.
what you're.
And I was like, this is disgusting. Like I would never.
Yeah, because you're irritated by our history.
People are like,
and what has
"Ooh, give it a
happened to
no!"
us.
Like
Right.
that was garbage. Like it was
Right.
straight up garbage. But yeah, no. I mean, I get what she's saying, and it is kind of like a re-traumas, like whatever.
Yeah, it's just bringing up
Because I
whatever,
was
yeah.
watching those scenes, like man, but then I can relate to it. So that those scenes are uncomfortable, or that you do feel something.
But
as far as the genre, I guess it is kind of like you said. Like if you do it in a unique way, I'm gonna watch it.
But here's the thing: I know where she's coming from, and I know what she's saying. But we're all guilty of this, right? We make films, we make TV shows, and we talk about things that we know and things that we've experienced, right? So what are one of the main things that we've experienced? Well, we've experienced what it's like being black. So what are we going to do? We're going to talk about our history. We're going to talk about what we've been through, right? So what do? We make films about it, right? What's her show?
Insecure.
What does she do on there?
It's about 4, black women going through their late 20s to early 30s.
But what's the key thing there that you just said? What are they?
Black women.
Black women, right? Do they talk about them being black in the show?
Yeah, it's a black show. Yep. So it's
and
very.
she mentions what it's like being black and all that. So then, how is it any different than this?
Because that's a feel good, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, but my point being
I
is
get what you're saying,
that's
yeah.
just what we do.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele, what is he talking about?
Yep, racism. I mean, no, I kind of like. I like the idea.
But I'm just saying that's just what we do. So what Spike Lee?
Yeah, but I mean, why do black people have to keep doing that? Like, why is
Because
that our role?
Because it's what we've been through. It's our experiences, right? We don't have a lot of things that we can necessarily I guess essentially like call our own, I guess,
Yeah.
or people have yet to do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be that. It's going to be some sports. It's going to be some music, and it's pretty much going to be one of those.
And 3 categories.
Right. And so that's pretty much, we live in that box, and then we try to be different while we're in that box. So it's like, I get what she's saying, but it's like calling a spade a spade. She's still essentially doing it herself, so that's the way that I'm viewing it. I get it that hers is like on the comedy side, it's not horror, it's not, but she's tired of something that she's also contributing to.
Yeah, it does get old though. Like I don't really need to see racism in my face every day. So I get where she was coming from. That's why I even brought it up, because I'm like,
you don't think she addresses racism in hers at any point?
And Insecure, a little bit. Again, it's not the central theme. It's more relationships, friendships.
I know, but my thing is that those are one of the things that
the whole movie is.
I know, but I'm saying we haven't gotten away from it. She's not even getting away from it in hers. If she did not address it at all in any of her 3-4 seasons, then okay, then go ahead and talk.
I get what you're saying,
but if you're addressing it, how are you any different?
I just get it. Like, I get what she's saying. We tired of seeing these same old things. But I like that it's unique. Like, that's why I put it on the slate rate scale. Because I'm going for something interesting in a different take. So I like that, he's putting they're putting different spins on it. But I get, like, here we go again. Like,
until she starts making a film like Steven Spielberg or Alfred Hitchcock or something, and it's just strictly just a film, and some things are happening within it, and it's extremely entertaining. Get a mixed, diverse set of people, whatever, then can't say too much about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think she still has a right to talk and have commentary.
Oh, for sure, she's got a voice. I'm just shutting down the whole thing of, she's like, I'm tired of this, and I'm like, well, I mean, we all contributing to it.
All right, I see what you're saying. Let us know what y'all think. I'm gonna still rock out with these movies. It depends. I'm not gonna watch no straight up slave movie. I definitely won't give you that. Yeah. But I'll watch these kind of, interesting, ambiguous type movies. But do it the right way, please, because this one, a little bit, confusing there. So
yeah, that's my biggest thing.
But on that note, let's get into some of the ratings. The ratings, we'll start with Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. Now, Rotten Tomatoes was actually pretty generous. They gave it a 75%. So that's pretty fresh, but the audience score was 46. So the audience didn't necessarily agree. And then IMDb gave it a 4.8. So that's pretty low for the people. Blair, you think those ratings are pretty fair?
Which ones?
Both of them. I think it's...
yeah, it feels like it.
It was middle of the road. I think that's the way my vote's going to come out. I'm still trying to think about how I'm going to even rate it, but I think that's about where I'm
Okay.
going to go with it. Blair, 1 to 5, entertainment. I mean, actually, shoot. It might be pretty high for me. Now that I think about it. Because entertainment and originality, like...
One.
You were that unentertained? You did say it wasn't interesting.
I wasn't really, yeah. Oh man, it's tough. It's tough because there's a lot that I did like about it. You know what I mean? Like even if I felt like if I saw her in person, like I would be chopping it up with her about it, just trying to like pick her brain and see what it was that she was really trying to do. You know, like I'm not really negative on this film, but as far as just like when I think of me being entertained watching a movie, it just wasn't all there for me.
I mean, I was pretty entertained. I was pretty much locked in the whole film.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing to me was the end, so I'm gonna go 4.
I'll go 2 then.
2 and 4 on entertainment, okay. And then originality. I mean, for me, it's like it's definitely not on the low end because it is unique. But we just sat there and compared it to what? Jordan Peele, so we can't say it's super original.
Yeah, but also...
But it's that kind of take. It's not necessarily like a blatant carbon copy.
But I always say, you know, even in previous episodes, it's like, but did you execute?
Is that part of the originality?
I mean, I always say it.
You're going to dip it in there.
No, but I always say it.
Yeah.
I always say
it wasn't
it.
executed.
I know
we already
what
know.
you're saying. Yeah,
Because that was our whole con, is execution.
yeah.
So, no, she did not.
I was only going to give it a 2, but because you say that, I'll throw a half on there.
2.5, so you got 4.5?
Yeah. Because it wasn't even about to be that, though.
Originality. I can't go 5.
No. Because you would give Get Out a 5.
5 is straight up. Get Out was 5 out of 5 out of 5 out of 5. I'm not going to go 4 either. I'm going to go 3.5.
Okay.
So I'm right there with the tomatoes.
Okay.
I'm at a 7.5. Yeah, that's where I'm going to stay.
Okay.
Because I was entertained. Like, I really wasn't bored.
Yeah.
But it was just at the end, I'm like, why? You know? But it was interesting. It was interesting. I kind of like it, you know? I like the whole thing. I was able to follow it. And I think it's pretty, you know, it's pretty original. It's pretty clever. So shout out to Miriam Diallo for that. Yeah, she did her thing. Anything else on this before we close? Would you say to go see it? Blair, you saying kind of leave it? I say watch it. I don't know.
Tough.
Go check it out. I say go check it out.
I guess I'd say.
Because it wasn't bad. Like, it's just like, you guys watch the ending and let us know. Because I was just kind of like, the ending jacked it up. But it's definitely a good film. I liked it. So Blair says check it out as well. Like we mentioned at the top of the hour, we got some good films coming up. I saw a dud that we're going to have to do. Blair's got some...
Did you ever think it would be?
You ever think it'd be a dud? Blair's got some stuff that came to the door to unbox. So stay tuned for that. That'll probably be the next episode. We'll hit some sneakers real quick. And we'll go from there. Blair, anything else before we wrap up here? All right, guys. It's the Slate Lace Gang. We out.